Hi, everybody. Welcome to the CoCo Show. I'm John.
I'm Aaron.
And today, Aaron, we got two big games to talk about.
Multiplayer games.
Yeah. Funny how we got two multiplayer games this week.
It is funny.
We got Rampage.
Yes.
And we got Cash Man.
Cash Man, which I am not.
Yeah. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about Rampage.
Okay.
Okay. So, you are a monster movie guy, right?
Yeah, more or less. Yeah.
Okay.
Depends on the monster, right?
Let's say there are several different types of monster movies. You got your Japanese oeuvre of your Godzilla, your Mothra.
Yeah.
These are the only two I know.
Gamera.
Right.
Protect for the children.
Right. And then you've got your universal monsters.
Yeah.
Your classics.
You got your Wolfman, your Mummy,
Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah.
Where do you fall in these camps?
Well, they both have their merits and flaws, but if I can walk the line. Listen, I've watched enough Japanese schlocky monster movies to kill a small pig. I've seen them all. I like, and of course I also am a big Mystery Science Theater 3000 fan, and they've covered quite a few of those. So I do like the genre of crap Japanese garbage monster films. They're funny. The monsters do wacky stuff. I think I have to say, and not to be too traditional, but I do like some Godzilla. Godzilla does a lot of wacky stuff. I think it was Godzilla versus Megalon, where he boxes. He'll dance occasionally. I like that. That's always funny. I also like Gamera, Protect the Children, the big turtle with the jet engines coming out of his holes.
I love that too.
Gamera's awesome. He
spins around
like an idiot. I always thought that was funny. On the flip side, the Universal monsters. I mean, listen, you've got Dracula. Bela Lugosi. He's the man.
Vincent Price.
No, he was none of those guys. You've got Frankenstein, Boris Karloff, the great Boris Karloff. We just watched The Grinch Who Stole Christmas, the animated, the original. Boris Karloff does the voice of the Grinch and as the narrator.
Didn't know that.
Oh yeah, and Boris Karloff's just awesome. Awesome voice, just a great.
But when he was Frankenstein, he didn't really speak.
He didn't
right?
have to. But yeah. I mean, he is got a tremendous speaking voice.
Kind of ironic that they cast him in that role.
He actually has worked with Bela Lugosi.
Boris Karloff was also the Mummy, wasn't he?
No, I don't think so. I think, wasn't that Lon Chaney?
Oh, no, Lon Chaney was Wolfman.
Junior. I don't remember. Well, I mean, I don't remember exactly.
I want to take Lon Chaney by the hand.
No, it's Charles Atlas by the hand.
Okay.
You're way out. Don't try to quote Rocky Horror, pal. No. Which, by the way, that was an homage to some of that schlocky crap as well, which, of course, I love that. So I like them both. The Mummy, not so much. The Wolfman,
What about Creature from the Black Lagoon?
It's funny, I saw that in 3D, simulated 3D.
Not real 3D.
Well, I mean, they did something to it, and it was better then. I wasn't a big fan of that one either, to be honest with you. It was okay.
I just feel like if there's a creature in the Black Lagoon, don't go in the Black Lagoon. Just avoid it.
Have you seen the movie?
No.
They're out there doing stuff.
What are they doing?
It's not like, let's go find the creature.
What could it be so important?
They were doing scientific research or hunting for gold, or who cares? They're doing something. Why are you in a lagoon anyway?
Yeah.
You
ever see Blue Lagoon?
Oh man, did I see that?
Yeah, that
was a whole different type of creature. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
That movie played a formative role in my life.
Yeah, no kidding. Brooke Shields, good sweet lordy. But that's a tangent right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, hey, listen. When it comes to monster movies, I like your Japanese, I like your traditional. I like the Hammer stuff, Hammer House of Horror.
It's too bloody for me.
Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing, awesome.
What's Peter Cushing?
Peter Cushing? What do you mean? What's Peter Cushing? He's an actor.
Oh, I thought it was like something else.
You've never heard of Peter Cushing?
It sounds like a stop on the underground.
Listen,
doors open on the left.
There's
Peter
a lot
Cushing.
of people in the UK that listen to the show, and please direct all your complaints to idiot boy here. He doesn't know who Peter Cushing. You know who Christopher Lee is, don't you?
Yeah, he's Sour Man.
Well, I mean, yeah, but he was Dracula way before that.
Nobody remembers him for that.
Just move along. I can't talk to you anymore about that. What's your next topic, Vote?
Okay. Cash Man.
Cash Man, eh?
Yeah.
What about Cash Man? Just flipping right to it? Just skipping right over Rampage?
Well, I feel like we've covered Rampage.
We haven't even started. Let's cover Rampage.
Let's cover Rampage first.
So, when I heard that there was a Rampage for... what the heck? When I heard there was a Rampage...
Tonight there's gonna be a Rampage.
On the CoCo, I got excited, Boat. Extremely excited. And lo and behold...
Holy cow, this is the wrong video.
I was wondering about that.
That's okay, just keep going.
No, I want to stop for a minute because, you brutalized Donkey King a while back.
I was not hard on Donkey King.
And now, Donkey King's having his revenge by showing up here in front of you on the monitor when it's supposed to be Rampage. Look at that game. I think this is a good time for you to formally apologize to everyone for the horrible misdeed and disservice you did to Donkey King.
Okay, I apologize for all the Donkey King folks out there.
Because you got called onto the carpet this week.
And you know who you are.
Yeah, because of your hideous attitude. So anyway, getting back to Rampage. When I heard this was available in the CoCo, I was trepidatious. Let's just put it that way. I was like, man, what's this going to be like? So what you've got here is a port of Rampage. Came out in '89. This is a Color Computer 3 only release.
It's immediately apparent that this was a CoCo 3 game.
128K minimum CoCo 3 release. This also has RGB monitor support. If you've got the RGB hookup on the bottom of the CoCo, it gives you the option.
It asks you at the beginning. It says, I must know.
Now, this was authored by the legendary CoCo programmer Steve Bjork. Now, I went over, this guy is synonymous with quality CoCo things. I'm put out a list here of his other efforts. I want to go over some of these, but just briefly. But he actually did some non-CoCo stuff that I didn't even know about that I found. So just get this. I'm just going to read off some of his credits here. He did Popcorn, Megabug, Sands of Egypt, Clowns and Balloons. He did the Zaxxon port. He did Guana Buana, which I remember, Stellar Lifeline, Desert Rider, Pitfall 2, which was really good, one-on-one, with Dr. J.
Oh, yeah.
Super Pitfall, Mine Rescue, Bash, Snake Pit, and Rampage. He also did Arkanoid, all right? He also did some other stuff, but he actually did some stuff not on the CoCo. He did, and now get this, Boatster, he did Crystal Quest on the Game Boy. He did the Super Nintendo version of the Rocketeer. Remember that?
Wow.
I actually own that game.
Huh.
Right? Chess Master on the Game Gear. Captain Planet on the Genesis. He was involved in that. Iron Hammer on Genesis 3D.
So this guy got around.
Bassmasters Classic. Who can forget that on the Super Nintendo? The Mask on the Super Nintendo. Bassmasters Classic Pro, which is cool. And get this, my favorite credit, the Mileage Computer PC device for recording road trip mileage. So I guess he did some sort of thing with
outside of the gaming world.
Yeah, it's crazy. I love that. So this guy is well traveled and well thought of when it comes to CoCo and programming abroad. Now, right away, you are presented with the opportunity to play Rampage. Rampage was up to 3 players. This is astounding to me. And until Curtis mentioned it in the chat earlier, I didn't know there were any games that really you can play with 3 players, and there's actually one you can play with 4 players, which maybe we'll cover at some point in the future. So, just right out of the gate, we've both played a lot of Rampage. If you're not familiar with it, it's an arcade game where you pick one of 3 big-sized monsters to go and terrorize various towns. The monsters are called George, Lizzie, and Ralph. With the George, I believe, is the King Kong guy. Lizzie is the giant lizard, and I believe Ralph is the giant wolf man.
Now, as a monster movie aficionado, is there any meaning behind those particular names? Like, of course, Lizzie, lizard. Okay, I can see that.
Yeah,
but
good one. You figured that one out.
Thank you.
Is there any meaning behind them? Not that I'm aware of, to be completely honest with you. Obviously, you can tell what they're based on, but that's pretty much the long and short of it. So, in the arcade version of this, you pick
No, I don't know what they're based on. Like
King Kong.
But what does George have to do with that?
George is a giant wolf. That's all I can tell you. I don't know.
George is not a giant wolf. George is King Kong.
I don't know why they named them that.
Okay.
If that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
Okay.
But anyway, you pick one of these 3 giant creatures who have been screwed over by this lab. I believe in the sequel you find out it's Scum Labs. And go around and you start crushing buildings anywhere you can and eating people. In the original Rampage, which is what this port is of, you come up on a screen. Well, first there'll be a thing that tells you what city you're in. There's a little message. And then you'll go sort of like a ticker, a news ticker. I used to work, I'm so old that I used to work the radio station. The news, AP News would come across on one of these printer
on
gimmicks.
the wire,
It would come across and you'd read the printout. Like, this just in.
Yeah.
I did that.
That's awesome.
That's crazy.
That's very cool.
So anyway, then you will pick your monster and you go out and just try to trash the city. And what you do is you try to punch buildings and kick them and to make the buildings fall down. You also try to eat people, try to blow up trains and tanks and cars, the whole 9 yards. And it's a fun game. It was a 3-player game in the arcade. So here comes the CoCo version of this. Again, I was not familiar with this. The CoCo version was on cartridge, and again came out in '89. So again, you're given the choice of the monitor type, and you get to choose which character you want. You've got it supports left and right joystick plus the keyboard as a player, so you can have 3 players at once. Now, you've played a ton of this. What did you think about this when it popped up the first time you saw it? Give me your initial thoughts.
Oh, I was shocked. I was shocked that it looked this good.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that. Of course, I don't have a ton of experience with the CoCo 3 as a platform.
Right.
And, it also, I had to go back because it had been a while since I played Rampage on anything other than the arcade.
Right.
Because when you got MAME, it sort of makes you not want to play a lot of conversions.
It does.
And I had to go back and I thought, boy, this really looks good. Does it really look, does this look, and it did. It looks very, very markedly similar to the arcade. And then I was like, well, I remember most of the time playing this on the Nintendo.
Right.
And I went back to the Nintendo, and boy, was I disappointed.
Yeah.
This was not a good port on the NES. I played this game. I had a blast. There are several things that I enjoy about this port. One is the amount of color on the screen.
Yeah.
There's an astounding amount of color. I like the fact that there's both military guys and civilians. And some of these ports, they remove the civilians, which is like half the fun of the game. I like the fact that you can see the helicopters flying in the background. The background is animated. It's a cool thing. The only thing that I didn't like about this one is they removed the eating animation. In the arcade and also in the NES version, when you reach in and grab a person or grab something from a building, you actually see him go in his mouth and he chews it up.
On this, you just sort of see his hand go in front of his mouth.
Yeah, it's a shame that they took that out. That's really that's really my only flaw with this game, to be honest with you.
I gotta say, again, having not played this, and I had a CoCo 3 eventually when I was younger, but I did not have this game. Of course, there was no multi-card of Doom.
Right.
And I didn't have it for that long, so I honestly don't remember this port at all. And so I was not expecting much, and I hadn't seen a ton of CoCo 3 exclusive stuff. If there was ever a reason for you to go buy a CoCo 3 back in the day, this right here is like your poster child for that. I couldn't freaking believe this. I was blown away with how it looks. It plays quite well. And it also sticks. It's pretty faithful to the arcade. I mean, I'm like you. I went to check out. I thought, man, this is really good. I'm going to check these other ports, and I looked at a lot of different ports, including the Spectrum and the Amstrad and the NES. And of course, this got ported to like the Amiga and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's funny. Did you notice how many of the ports of this were the guys looked fat?
Oh yeah.
And
it was
dumpy.
Well, I think it was the way. Maybe it was the way they were trying to stretch pixels or something. Yeah. But a lot of them just look straight up horrible. Like the Atari ST is an abomination. It's so bad. Some of them, the Atari 8-bit, it looks like a 2600 game. I mean, there is a 2600 port, which obviously works. But but I was surprised. Now another thing that surprised me is that the DOS version of this game looks quite good.
Yeah, and it's funny. I had played that one.
But the winner, and I think I went.
Let me guess before you say it.
Okay.
Is it going to be the Master System?
It's the Master System. Yeah.
The Master System has what I would say is your king. That much said, and I'm not. And I had a CoCo. I'm a big CoCo fan, and I will occasionally probably overrate something. But this game has got to be, and at least in the top 2 or 3 of the ports. Now, the only thing that really hampers this one is it runs a little slower than I would like. It could go a little bit faster. But listen, you got 3 players simultaneous. It's got all the elements that make the game the game. You know, I mean, that's important. It actually has the elements that make the game the arcade game.
Right.
Like, they got most of the stuff right. Now, the way you destroy buildings, it's not quite as authentic as it is in the arcade.
Yeah, sometimes I'd have buildings come down, and I wouldn't know why because I hadn't destroyed them enough. I don't know what was up with that.
And sometimes you can just obliterate a building.
Right.
And it looks like there's no way it defies all laws of gravity. You know, but again, if you played some of these other versions, that's not that uncommon. This looks like, I didn't think you could make these games look. This tells you right here that the potential of the 3 was off the charts. I mean, you're really looking at something that could actually make a pretty darn good game.
Yeah.
I was really surprised by this one. What did you not like? Is there anything you didn't like?
I mean, it did seem a little bit slow, but Rampage in the arcade is not a really fast-moving game. You know, you don't want it to move too fast. You've got to make several precise movements. One gripe I've had with Rampage in general is that sometimes the buildings aren't quite as sticky as you need them to be. Like, if you're trying to climb a building, you really have to line up to it just right to get it to go up. But that's a gripe I have with the arcade version too. This game could have used some music.
Yeah.
It's you know, I know that there is sound in this game, but it does not appear.
Good.
It does not appear on the emulator when you try and emulate it. It could have used a kind
I've heard that.
Yeah, it could have used a little bebopping track. I would have appreciated it. It is the CoCo 3, you know.
It's funny. You're gonna think I'm crazy, but because I do this all the time on the Spectrum, but I played this entirely with the keyboard. And I liked it, you know. So I mean, could you?
I can see that.
Could you have a third player go in there and play with the keyboard? Absolutely,
yeah.
You could, without any problems at all. You could do it. But man, this one I was tickled pink over this thing. It's super awesome. For something that fits on a cart. I think it was like I think it was a 32K.
Yeah, 32K.
Yeah. That you got something. So we agree. This is a big thumbs up on this one. Now, I actually looked up, I gotta give Curtis credit on this one. He linked me up to a couple reviews, actually one review on this one in Rainbow Magazine. We've talked about Rainbow a few times. It was like the #1 CoCo magazine as far as I'm concerned. It was real awesome and thick. They don't give these things scores, but I read the review, and the reviewer was fairly kind to it. But in the end of the day, he said his judgment was made by his kids. He put his kids on, and he said they got bored in 5 minutes. It's sort of blah.
Well, that's, you know, Rampage is not the greatest arcade game that's ever been created.
Man, it's awful fun. I will say, you know, Rampage World Tour which is the sequel to this,
which came out like at least 10 years after the original.
I'm just saying, it takes this game and goes crazy. It's real fun.
This is really one of those games that, especially if you're playing it single player, I mean, it's the ultimate one-trick pony. But that's not this port's fault. This port is an accurate rendition of Rampage. Now, this game came out in 1989. Yeah. What else was going on in the world of home computers and game consoles in 1989? A heck of a lot more than Rampage. So I can understand why kids might not be over the moon. But in terms of how well does this accurately portray the arcade version, knocks it out of the park.
I will say this. Me and my boy played the original Rampage, and we played them both. He loves this game.
Yeah, and when you're playing 2-player, it's a lot of fun.
I think, I agree. This is not a game you're going to play by yourself. You get at least one other person, because for one thing, you're punching each other. Like, Luke loved to hit me in the crotch, and also he loved eating me, which is something you could do in this when your little naked guy walks off. And my kid loved it. And again, the sequel is also an outstanding game. This did get ported to like everything under the sun. It was popular. And this kept everything from the arcade version that made it fun. So, yeah, I think we both give this the big enthusiastic thumbs up.
Now, let me ask you just a general CoCo question. Do you think that people by this time, of course, the CoCo had been out for almost 10 years, and then we're in the CoCo 3 now, were people at this point just conditioned to accept the fact that CoCo games were not going to have background music?
You know, I think it's... the background music or that sort of stuff in general, I just didn't think about.
Yeah,
because a lot of things didn't have any music like that.
Well, that's one of the things as we play all these different classic computers and things. I realized just how unique the Nintendo console was, because every single game had some sort of background music, and I was just so conditioned to expect that. It's so remarkable to me that so many of these games from the same time period on other platforms just had no music.
Well, let me say this too. Neither one of us came from a C64 background, and they had some awesome tunes.
Very true.
And
Very
so
true.
I'm sure if a C64 person were asked that question, be like, "Oh man, this and this and that."
Yeah.
They all had great music, and so we, the CoCo is not known. The CoCo, as we came across, can play some good tunes.
Yeah. Well, Curtis just brought up a good point too. The CoCo has no sound chip.
Yeah.
So yeah, that really hurts it.
The CoCo can play a decent tune. It's no C64, that's for darn sure.
Right.
But I mean, it can play good tune. But I think a part of it's just the limitations of this cartridge size, and part of it's probably the limitations of the overall power. I'm sure this game taxed the CoCo to its ends.
Yeah.
Did we get any listener reviews on this one?
We did. I will pull them up here. We got a review from the one and only Graham W. Vebke, and he says, "I'm not a huge Rampage fan, but I know this game is well loved, and I do find it a fun game to play. Many previous home computer ports have been poor, especially the major letdown of those 2 different C64 versions that were available. This is by far the best 8-bit home computer port of the game I've found. It plays like the arcade version, looks great for a home port too. And the sound is decent as well. It's a little slower, and while you might find that frustrating, it can also be an advantage depending on your opinion. Out of all the ports, I only prefer the amazing Master System port over this one. So I highly recommend you play this one if you own a CoCo 3. 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Thank you, Graham.
Yeah, he mentioned that this was the best 8-bit computer version. And of course, the Master System not being a computer, he may be on something. I mean, this was a huge surprise to me. It's another one. Again, I like it. I like seeing these games I never saw before, because I know that I'm not looking at them with nostalgia.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed this. I did look this up on eBay, by the way. You've got the cartridge up for, and these are all on sale currently: $27, $60, $80, and $45.
Not a cheap game.
And I will say, this game looks like one of the ones that did have it didn't have that standard CoCo game. It actually had a sleeve and stuff on it, so it's a little more fancy to get this.
Didn't just have the window.
Right.
Let's talk about Cashman, Aaron.
Now this is another sweet surprise, because you ever play a game and then forget it exists? Well, I did. So when Cashman came up, I was like, I remember that, and I was thinking Baggett Man. That's what I was thinking, which is the Bagman clone. And then this beautiful thing came into view, and I'd totally forgotten about this game, and I'm kicking myself, because this is like a game it's like they said, let's make a game for Amigo Aaron, and bam, so shall it be. So let's talk about the Cashman. Now, I did a little background on this thing just to see the guys that did it. So Cashman was authored by Bill Dunleavy and Doug Freyer. Now, we mentioned Bill a couple weeks ago. He was responsible for Time Bandit. Remember Time Bandit?
Oh, yeah.
So I was looking to see if these guys did anything else that I would know about. Well, guess what? I've got the Huck to thank for having researched the Dick Smith System 80. These guys both, Doug and Bill, worked on Systems 80/TRS-80 games on that platform. Now, you'll recall that Time Bandit came from the TRS-80 Model 1, 2, and 3, that arena, before it came to the CoCo. And these guys did some games on there. In fact, they did some together. They worked on a game called Assault. They worked on a game together called Cyborg. Doug worked on a game called Fury. And they both worked on a game called Jovion. So if you're looking to get into some Bill Dunleavy and Doug Freyer gameage, I recommend you go and get that Dick Smith or that TRS-80 emulator and go pick these games out. You can find them if you Google them. They'll come up. They're on one of those compilation discs, or a couple of them, and you can grab them. This was published by Computer Shack, which eventually became Mitchtron, and they were responsible for a couple games we've covered, including Outhouse that me and Brent covered on our ARG Presents.
Fantastic game.
A fantastic game. And also Time Bandit. And one of these days we'll probably get to cover Outhouse on this show because there's a CoCo version.
I can't wait.
So I looked this up to see. I had to find out exactly what this cost and what it was on. This was released in July of '83. You could buy brand new. You could get the cassette for $28, but if you wanted the disc, you got to pay $30, the big money. This will run any of the CoCos with 32K of memory, and you are good to go. So I'm guessing you never played this one either, right? So what is the Cash Man? Well, let me tell you. Have you heard of a little game called Jumpman?
I have heard of Jumpman. Yes.
Jumpman was a game that, I'm a big fan. I think you are too.
Yeah, I love Jumpman.
And it's one of the 8-bit staples. Mm-hmm. It was on Atari, Apple, Commodore 64. It was everywhere. ColecoVision had Jumpman Jr. So Doug and Bill said, let's see what we can do here. Now, this game came out in '83. I don't know exactly what year Jumpman. I think Jumpman may have came out the same year, so it's close. Okay, as to which one of these, I didn't research that as to which one was out first, but they're both similar. And I would wager, since they were released so closely together, that they probably were developed independently of each other without any sort of and really they're not entirely the same by any stretch of imagination. So, Cash Man's a simple game. You're a man. And what do you need, Boat?
Cash
money.
Yeah.
That's right. And so you've got to navigate over 45 levels of cash grab action. Mm-hmm. Now, the game is a single screen platform game where you play as a Cash Man and you're running around getting money symbols. And the platforms are a variety of things, which we'll get into. And you are continuously hounded by a dude at the top of the screen dropping little things that eventually will develop into eggs that can be birds or they can be cats. Also, and the cats will hurt you if they hit you. And you have a what I would say is an ample hit point bar. So you could take quite a few hits before you.
Is that
down.
Okay? I didn't realize if that was a hit point bar or if that was like your men in the bottom of the screen.
Well, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I mean, it's just one is the same as the other. Yeah. It's a long bar that when you die, you lose a dot on. Right. Eventually, you lose all your dots.
Right.
You play as either the Sheik or the Sailor. This game has 2-player simultaneous co-op play, or I guess it's co-op. Or I guess you're out for yourself.
Well, yeah, it's competitive.
You can. They're the two different characters are the Sheik, which is the blue-hatted guy with orange shoes, or the Sailor, which is the white-hatted guy with blue shoes. Mm-hmm. All right, and you get to play as one of the two of them. Which is awesome. It depends on which joystick port you're using.
No functional differences in the players.
None that I'm aware of. So, as I mentioned, you have to go through these platforms and grab all the cash. Sounds simple. At the beginning of the game, it presents you with a way to choose how you want to play the game. And it gives you basically what levels you want to start on. You've got your easy levels. Then you've got your what are called the super jump levels. Then you've got your sort of expert levels. Then you've got no jump levels. And then you've got what they call the puzzle levels. So you've got and they're divided into X amount of levels each. So if you start at the very beginning and you get through all the easy levels, you're going to move right into the super jump levels. And if you just pick super jump, you'll just start where the super jump levels would start.
Right.
It's a good way to play because it allows you effectively to skip past certain levels just to see what else is out there, even if you're not good enough to get past them.
I love the way that this game did level selection.
Yeah, this is the way you do it.
Manic Miner, take note.
Well, now listen, this is a different sort of game.
Yeah, it's a fun sort of game.
Well, listen, you're killing Manic Miner. So, what do you do in this game aside from get cash? Well, you avoid cats. And now,
of course,
can you explain to me what the heck's going on at the top of the screen with this thing?
Okay.
Because I didn't see a backstory for this, and I'm sure someone knows what, but I don't know what it is.
I created a backstory in my mind.
Let's hear what it is.
Okay.
Because there's a thing that rides across the top of the screen like a little gondola, and it just drops stuff.
Right. Okay, so you are the Cash Man.
Yeah.
Okay. That's as far as I got.
That's it?
No, I always pictured the gondola that you speak of as being sort of like a reverse crane in a crane machine.
Right, yeah.
And so the crane is dropping things on you.
Yeah.
And these are points. And you can get extra points by collecting these things, okay?
Yeah.
Then you've got your bird, and your
Yep.
bird's flying around, and your bird comes from eggs.
Yep.
So if you catch one of the eggs before it hatches, it becomes a projectile,
Yeah.
sort of Mr. Do-like
I knew
projectile.
you were going to say it.
Yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can have a lot of fun throwing that thing around and hitting monkeys with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the bird is not your enemy. The bird is your friend. You can leap to the bird, and the bird will carry you, much like the winged eagle in Lord of the Rings, talking about Christopher Lee earlier.
Yeah.
And it will carry you to a different part of the level. However, the bird is also your enemy because sometimes you will leap upon the bird without meaning to and be carried to a part of the level you do not wish to go.
Or sometimes they just swoop down where you're at and you're
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
And it's usually right when you're getting ready to get the money.
Right, but the bird does not kill you.
No.
You know. And so there in this game there is no fall damage. You can jump. The controls are in this sort of classic Jumpman loosey-goosey style.
They have,
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
gotta have like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Did you say monkeys? I thought those were cats.
I call those monkeys. They look like the monkeys from Kangaroo.
Okay. They do sort of, but they've got 4 legs. And like
Monkeys have 4 legs.
And a tail.
And a tail, like a monkey.
But that doesn't look like a monkey to me. I think it's a cat.
Okay.
I'm going with cat.
Okay. But anyway, this game offers, like you said, a you can choose from any of the sort of starting levels within the greater scheme of things. You can't choose level by level, but you can kind of get a general idea. I love the way that the difficulty ramped up because the first couple levels I was zooming through, I was feeling great about myself, and I played all the way up until the middle of the second
Super
level.
jump,
Yeah. And then I was like, you know what? What I'm going to do is I'm going to jump ahead to the expert level. So I jumped ahead to the most difficult level. They weren't kidding. Those are for experts.
But you could
only.
actually beat some. Like I went to I went to every different plateau of levels, and I could always beat a couple at least, the early ones. You know?
I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't do it.
I will say this game is like several different games because the no jump levels, those are, you really have to think about it. It's Jumpman with no jumping. Mm-hmm. And so it's all about strategically falling to where you need to be.
Which I thought was great. It was a way to set themselves apart. Curtis did point out that Jumpman did come first. And the fact that the first level you don't jump, it's like, hey, we're not just a Jumpman clone. We're doing something different here. I will tell you that it was funny. I'd forgotten the fact that you could jump in later levels, and I was cursing the fact, and I was trying to do up for jump. The Amiga has conditioned me for up for jump for something. I forgot it was button for jump. Yeah.
Now, let's rewind for a minute here.
Okay.
Because I didn't mention this earlier. This actually got released on something called the Sanyo MBC 550.
Okay.
You ever heard of that?
No.
I want to mention that. And also this works on the Dragon 32. And this also has a different screen mode that you can hit. And it actually makes this into sort of a different... I think it's for monitor compatibility, but it changes the color palette.
Okay.
Did you try
I did see that, and it just
you would
basically...
never want to play with that.
No,
palette,
it was hideous.
But it's still, it was there for a reason.
Okay.
This game has a lot of different things in it that are aside that Jumpman doesn't have straight up. You've got conveyor belts. You've got things that shoot you up in the air. They're all like forced trampolines. There's also these things called zappers. Zappers are basically like when you go into them, they hurt you. You know, so it's like sort of like a spike pit that you go through it basically. It's got all kinds of different ladders, ropes, and chains that you climb on. Of course, you've got all the different platforms and whatnot. It's got, by the way, if you look at the opening title screen that has all this stuff listed, what's that say right there for that monkey? What's that say?
It's spelled with a K.
It says cat.
It's a certain kind of monkey. It's called the cat monkey.
It's a cat, y'all. Everything in this is spelled cool guy style.
That
cat
is true.
with a K, bird with a Y.
They should have put the cash man with the S as a $sign to complete
there
it.
You go. So the various trampolines and the laser grids, it makes this game awesome. So it's like Jumpman that's on like mega roids. I mean, it makes it this is very good. Now, I had forgotten about this game, and I'm kicking myself, like I mentioned. But when I played this, I was having such a good time. I thought to myself, I want to hear what Boat says about this game, because I don't know. I was very nostalgic when I played this. I was almost weeping because it'd been so long I'd forgotten about it. It was like finding a lost treasure. And I thought I want to go see if Bo likes this as much as I do because I love this stuff, and it sounds like you liked it as much as I did.
You have to put yourself in the mindset of you're playing this kind of game. This game, the controls of this game are different than a modern platform game. The way that you jump, you don't sort of jump as much as you just kind of take flight across the screen. But the fact that there's no fall damage, that you can try jumps, and if you fail you just get back up and go again. The thing that I don't like about games like Miner 2049 and Bounty Bob is that they have that same kind of loosey-goosey jump, but you get punished for it. And in this game, you don't get punished. You get rewarded. The bird picks you up and carries you around. You're flying around. You're feeling good.
I think Miner 49's got pretty tight controls. I'll be honest with you. I don't agree with you on that. But the loosey-gooseness of this, that's what makes the game. I will say that you are not as free-falling as this. It's not as loose as Jumpman. Jumpman, you can sort of do. This guy, sometimes it's difficult to get him to fall the way you want. You can't just leap off the ladders like a maniac. You sort of have to go to the kind of like to the top. But they've got everything set up. You got to think this is a 45 plus levels. Okay, they say there are 45. That they say there's hidden levels. There you go. And I looked on Curtis's site, and it was the same thing. Like, we don't know exactly what all's here. So chances are there are secrets in this game that were never revealed to everybody.
Right.
But they are so radically different, and they are so creative. And these levels aren't like levels that just a jerk put down. I mean, someone was you had I wouldn't say it's a Manic Miner level of evil, but there was some pretty good evil.
There's tricky stuff in there, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, I wouldn't say that it's not tricky. I just say it's more forgiving.
Yeah. I mean, this is a big win here. It's also got that the time. You can see the Time Bandit guy's touch on this because it's the graphics and also the title screen is very much like Time Bandit. Basically, anything this guy touched with CoCo was solid gold money. I mean, this is another winner. Now, how did you like this as compared to Time Bandit? Do you have? Is this?
Boy, they're so different.
This has got to be different. For me. This is amongst the best things we've played so far on the CoCo.
I liked things about Time Bandit more. This game is a bit more abstract than Time Bandit is.
That's what makes it good.
Yeah,
there's almost a little bit of like Bruce Lee in here.
Yeah,
with the climbing. There's a little bit of Jumpman in here.
Yeah,
the missile weapon is. It's hard to use, but it comes in handy.
The fact that it's there at all is so cool. I don't know. I can't pick a favorite between this and Time Bandit. They're just too different. I liked them both.
I wish Time Bandit had the multiplayer that this does. Now, this is a game. It's like I said, I'd forgotten all about this until I loaded it up. But me and the Brent and me and my buddies from back in the day would sit around and play this game and would get well into it. I love the fact that it's got a multiplayer element, and it's just a unique game. This is I look at this sort of like I looked at Yeti. It's just I love games that are wacky climbing games, and they just seem to violate all the rules. Let's just put part of a ladder here.
Right.
Let's make invisible stuff here. Let's just have. If this game has a flaw that I don't like, it's that the enemy, which are the cats, mostly the cats, they literally don't climb, they don't jump, they just literally kind of go around. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? They're difficult to tell where they're coming from. It would be more of a detriment if you didn't have the bar that had so much lives or health. But that's one thing I don't like, is the way the enemies travel. But you can get past. That's not the worst.
Right.
So I love this one. I'd say I'm a big fan. I did find some reviews on this one. Over at the CoCo review place I go to, the Ice People reviews, they gave this one an A-. They loved it. Rainbow, again, they didn't give a score, but the guy, his summary was, Cashman is one fun game, buy it. That's a pretty good endorsement.
Yeah.
Hot Cocoa, which is another CoCo magazine, reviewed this, and the basic gist of it was, it's too easy, and it's not as much fun unless you have two people playing. So I don't agree with that. Did we get any listener reviews on this one?
No listener reviews on this one. So we'll have to, and of course, if you want to leave a listener review and you are a Patreon supporter of the CoCo Show, you can on the CoCo Show Reviews channel of our server. And if you played some games, if there's a game that we played before and you want to leave a review after the fact, we're open to that too. So feel free to do that.
This is the kind of game. We're both big 8-bit fans.
Mm-hmm.
This is the kind of 8-bit glorious love that I love, and I think you're the same way.
Oh yeah. This is a total nostalgia trip because I played games like this on the Atari 8-bit all the time. We've
had a spontaneous review from Curtis. It's awesome. So there you go. Now, what is this? You told me to remind you about this voicemail.
Yeah, so we got a voicemail. It's actually been a couple weeks since we've recorded, so I want to play this. This comes to us from Terry Allenstein.
All right, let's hear this thing.
Hey guys, I was just listening to your podcast where you did the time bandits, and you were talking about systems and adaptation. And I would recommend go ahead and get yourself a switcheroo and a SCART converter. That makes the best picture. If not, there's also CoCo VGA, which is out there. If you jump onto Discord and look for CoCo Talk, you'll find all these subjects in there. And appreciate what you guys are doing. Keep it up. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Terry.
Thank you, Terry.
Yeah, that CoCo VGA, you've got a CoCo 3. You could jump all over that.
I'm happy with what I've got. I'll be honest with you.
Neither one of us are real graphics snobs. We've never bought special equipment for RGB. If it's got composite, it's good enough for me.
I buy special equipment to make the video look worse.
Yeah. But thank you, Terry. We appreciate it. And if anybody out there would like to leave us voicemail, you can do that from anchor.fm/the CoCo Show.
We need more voicemail.
Yeah.
We never get any voice. Flack had that voice line forever, and I don't think he got more than like one. I sent him one. He didn't play it, so I shouldn't have cussed so much, I guess. But I would love to get. I love hearing people to call in. That's great. I love that.
That's awesome. And Curtis informed us in the chat that Terry is a CoCo Games developer from back in the day.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I believe the switcheroo. And Curtis, you can back me up on this. Is that one of the items that comes out of Australia? I think there's a fella down there that does a bunch of crazy stuff down there. While I'm thinking about it, I also want to mention this again because I get a lot of information. If you want to check out Curtis's tremendous CoCo game site, you can get linked in there if you go to www.lcurtisboyle. That's LCurtisboyle.com. It's the place to be. He's the #1 gaming guy on all the web, and he's one of our good buddies.
Awesome. And Curtis says the switcheroos from CoCo Man in the USA.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Yeah. I do want to let everybody know that we tape the show live every Friday on twitch.tv/Amigos Retro Gaming. You can join in the fun in the chat like L. Curtis B himself. Ed Van Helland is here. Pixels at Dawn Gaming doing a great job with the mod. Ricky DeRocher's here. Thank you guys so much for being with us, Picard 2010.
The ever-present.
That's right, yeah. The ever-present. And of course, if you are hearing the show for the first time on our Amigos RSS podcast feed, welcome. We hope you enjoy it, and we always welcome feedback at feedback@thecocoshow.com. Is that really true? Did we really get the CoCoShow.com?
We got it all.
Yeah.
We got it all.
It's an amazing
feedback.
URL.
Make it great feedback.
It's not. It's the CoCoShow.net. Feedback at the CoCoShow.net, I'm pretty sure.
Close enough.
Yeah.
It's one of those.
Yeah. Did I write that anywhere? I don't know. I don't have that on my notes.
Are you telling me this is live? This is recorded live? Surely you'll edit this part.
All right. So I want to thank our Patreon supporters. Jeff Landreth, Graham Vebke, Wing Chun Wolf, and Curtis Boyle. Thank you so much for supporting the CoCo Show. We really appreciate it.
Fine, folks.
And if you'd like to support the show, patreon.com/the CoCo Show. All right, Aaron, we will be back in a couple weeks with a new episode of the CoCo Show. Until then, we'll see y'all later.
Adios. Bye.